Live from Peachtree TV, this is the inaugural Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony Special.
I'm I.J. Rosenberg, the director of the new Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. 2 weeks ago, almost 800 sports fans, along with 45 great athletes and their representatives, came together at the College Football Hall of Fame to induct the inaugural class in a powerful 2.5-hour ceremony that left us all with a few laughs and even more tears. The new Hall of Fame is a joint effort between SCORE Atlanta, the Georgia High School Association, a 35-person board made up of football coaches, athletics directors, principals, former star athletes, media, and professionals from the business world. It was an intense process over 8 months to get to this point. We began with taking thousands of football players from more than 120 years and trimmed the list down to a 100-person ballot. Once we were there, with tremendous help from Hall historian Todd Holcomb and Tift County sports writer Becky Taylor, each member of the board voted for 36 players, and Herschel Walker was the only player on every ballot. The board also decided to induct all 9 Pro Hall of Famers that played at Georgia high schools, giving us a total of 45. In Georgia high school football, it's at its strongest ever, sending 30 players that graduated from Georgia high schools to the NFL in the last draft. The only state that sent more was Texas at 32, but the Lone Star State, of course, is 270% larger than Georgia. So sit back and enjoy the next hour of highlights from the ceremony. It was quite momentous evening and the beginning of a legacy this state of Georgia will continue to be proud of. This is the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame.
The inaugural Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony Special is brought to you by GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com. Transform your future today. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 613, Atlanta's Electricians. Smart Local 85, get your sheet together. The Lexi 43 Foundation, End Distracted Driving, End Impaired Driving, and Unsafe Driving. And by SCORE Atlanta, your source for Georgia high school sports.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know, just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
SMART is sheet metal, air, rail, and transportation.
We fabricate and install HVAC systems, ductwork.
You can't just go to Home Depot and buy our product. You have to build our product.
If you can dream it, we can build it. That's our motto.
Our sheet metal workers are really proud of that work. They want to look back and go to a Falcons game with their family and point up to show what they did.
How many times have you looked at a statistic and thought, that doesn't apply to me? Take this one. On average, each day, 28 people die as a result of drunk driving crashes. That one applied to me. My friend Philip Lutzenkirchen was killed as a passenger in a car accident that involved distracted and impaired driving. The Lexi 43 Foundation wants to reduce the amount of people impacted by that statistic. The Foundation's 43 Key Seconds initiative reminds you to have a clear head, clear hands, clear eyes, and to click it before driving. Learn more at lexi43.org.
Now I'd like to call up the Masters of Ceremonies who will take you through the rest of the night. Bill Hartman, no stranger to high school sports in Georgia. has high school greatness running through his family, as his father, Bill Sr., was nominated among the top 100 for this class and just missed getting in the first year. Bill, I think you'll be sitting out there next year representing your father. Then we have Matt Stewart, who truly has brought high school sports in the state to the forefront over the last 30 or more years. Joining Bill and Matt to help induct the players will be other great high school voices in John Nelson of GPB, DJ Jones of Sports Vision, and I have to throw in there the Georgia Bulldogs, Sam Crenshaw of 92.9 The Game, and Brandon Adams of Dog Nation. And joining us up front to help the inductees down the green carpet that's sponsored by Sports Turf and put the medals and the jackets on them, as well as giving them their plaques, will be former Brookwood coach Dave Hunter and Rusty Mansell of 24/7 Sports. Over the last 55 years, I don't think there's anyone, both on and off the field, that has helped move high school football in Georgia to where it is today, as far as Dave and Rusty. So if y'all could come on up, everybody will get the induction going.
Next up is a fella named Buck Ballou. Now, he's a legend in the state of Georgia and a monumental figure at Valdosta High School. He held the state record, and I know you won't believe this, but he held the state record at the time for career passing yards with 5,214 as a four-year starter for the Wildcats. He also ran for almost 1,500 yards, and he had 87 touchdowns during his high school career. He was the 1977 Atlanta Journal Class 3A Back of the Year. Went on to play both football and baseball at the University of Georgia. Buck Ballou, ladies and gentlemen. Because we have so many inductees tonight, 45, we're not going to do the traditional thank yous and the coaches and the family and all that, although we are so happy all of you are here. We're going to ask the inductees who are in attendance tonight one question. They don't know what it's about. Buck, what do you remember about that Clark Central game back in 1977?
Why would you bring that up?
Well, we Athens boys, you know.
Well, I said I'd never go back. And my two sons are playing at South Forsyth High School. They played at Clark Central earlier this season, so I did go back, and I saw them win. So, that was a heartbreaker. I'm still trying to get over that one.
I think you are, and your sons are helping. Thank you very much. Buck Ballou, ladies and gentlemen.
Our next inductee is going to be Takeo Spikes. Takeo Spikes of the Washington County Golden Hawks is a good dude, but on the football field, he was a bad man. 1994 Player of the Year, bone-crushing 191 tackles, 33 TFL, 21 quarterback sacks, 2 block punts, 3 picks. Caught 40 passes for 751 yards, 22 touchdowns, led Waco to a 15-0 record, state championship. He was named USA Today All-American. Starred for the Auburn Tigers, 13th pick in the 1998 NFL Draft by the Bengals, played 15 seasons, and to this day, he's one of only 7 linebackers in the NFL to start 200 games. Takeo Spikes couldn't be with us here today because Takeo is working for the SEC network.
Which is amazing. Speaks to his commitment. They've sent something for you, and our friend Stewie is going to bring it to you right now. Oh my goodness! You want to do? Let me unbutton this here, and you can go slap it on him there real quick.
Look at the greatness right here.
Look at this. Look at this Hall of Fame jacket.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Can you take that off for me, please, sir?
So the ceremony again is Saturday, but he's working with us. He's not taking a day off of work. They gave him the jacket, and we're putting it on him right now, but we've got some technical...
Some IFB issues we got to deal with?
All right, there it is. Oh, goodness, that fits like a glove, my man. That actually goes great with the suit, too.
That's awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate
awesome,
that.
man.
And I really didn't know, I didn't think the jacket was gonna be here. I felt bad because I couldn't make it, but I couldn't miss out on the opportunity to work with you guys, but it means a lot. And I think ultimately you look at the amount of guys who are going in the inaugural class. Hines Ward, Shannon Sharp, Mel Blunt, Fran Tarkenton, Champ Bailey. Like, these are all homegrown guys. Also, David Pollock, one of our colleagues.
Stinch. Another one, yeah.
Stinch, shout out to Stinch, Garrison Hurst. So, you know, man, it's really a big honor. And my mom told me that, you know, anytime somebody shows you appreciation, you got to take time to acknowledge it.
Mm-hmm. Otis Sistrunk, best known as a star defensive end for the Oakland Raiders in the 1970s, he was a product of Spencer High School in Columbus, Georgia, the predominant power in the Georgia Interscholastic Association. Sistrunk was a dominant defensive end, but chose to enter the United States Marine Corps after high school. And after his service in the Marine Corps, he made it to the NFL and became an absolute star. Otis Sistrunk, ladies and gentlemen. When you were in the Marine Corps, did you dream that you'd ever play in the NFL?
Yes, I always had a thought about Big Daddy. I played for the Colts. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be like Big Daddy.
Big Daddy Lipson.
Big Daddy Lipson. So, you know, the thing about it is that I was looking at TV one day and I just felt like I could play.
And so why not you?
That's right.
And you did it. Congratulations, Otis. Names like Otis Sistrunk. And this next guy, Larry Kennebrew. Larry rushed for more than 1,000 yards and was a dominant force defensively on East Rome's 15-0 Class A championship team that shut out 9 of their opponents and held 4 others to 7 points or less back in 1977. He was named the AJC Class A Lineman of the Year and was a Parade All-American. Though he played at 6'2", 240 pounds, he was exceptionally fast and won the Class A 100-yard dash, beating out a fellow Hall of Famer named Herschel Walker. Larry Kennebrew.
Our next inductee is Eric Zier. Eric Zier of the Marietta Blue Devils. 1990, he just showed up. Everybody became like Munson and asked, who is this Eric Zier kid? We soon found out this young man who had been in Heidelberg, Germany, was one heck of a quarterback. State Player of the Year, Parade All-American, Super Prep National Player of the Year. At Georgia, set the then SEC career passing yardage record. 1994 All-American, twice top 10 in the Heisman voting. NFL third-round pick, 6 years in the league, and now the color commentator of the Georgia Bulldogs Football Radio Network, Eric Zier. Welcome to the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. Our next inductee is Jeff Francoeur. Jeff Francoeur of the Parkview Panthers. Before he was Frenchie, he is one of the best high school football players in the state for the best team in the state. Signed with Clemson, I guess because he loves orange, but then the hometown Braves intervened and the rest is history. Currently working the network TV booth for the ALCS, so he's not with us tonight, but through it all, he's still the same Jeff I met when he was 18 years old.
I hope everybody has a great night tonight. I hope you all have a lot of fun. And don't worry, I'm going to let these people here in New York City know what Georgia high school football is all about. Have fun.
Garrison Hurst. This young man rose to the top of the game in every level he played. At Lincoln County in 1989, he was the AJC All-Classification Player of the Year after rushing for 2,100 yards and 36 touchdowns as a senior. Led Lincoln County to a 15-0 record and the state championship. In 2007, the AJC ranked him as the number 6 Georgia high school player of all time. He went to Georgia and finished third in the Heisman voting in 1992. Mr. Garrison Hurst. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Could you play tomorrow?
No. No. I got to borrow some knees and hips from out of here.
What do you remember most about Lincoln County High School?
Where do I start first? Growing up, you always had a class to follow because they were champions before I ever started. So it was the town that closed on Friday because everyone's at the game. Yeah. So, I heard people say that high school football is family. Lincoln County football is Lincoln County family, period.
Well, I tell you what, those kinds of schools, those kinds of towns in the state of Georgia is what makes it great. Thank you for coming. Great job, Garrison.
Next inductee is Terrence Edwards. Terrence Edwards, Washington County Golden Hawks. By my count, that's the second inductee from that school. At least for the moment, Terrence, you got bragging rights on your brother Robert, who is now the head coach back at their alma mater. Robert's going to be up here with us too, I think. He was a star quarterback, state player of the year for Waco, leading the Golden Hawks to consecutive state titles as a sophomore and junior, 30-0 record playing alongside his brothers. At Georgia, switched over to wide receiver and set the then SEC career receiving yards and touchdown record and still stands fourth in those categories. Played in the CFL, was a 3-time All-Star and fourth on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers all-time receiving list. And now wide receiver coach, Milton High School, Terrence Edwards. Welcome to the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. Okay, so how's this going to play out now? Like I said, he's got bragging rights on you for now. Are y'all going to go wrestle or box or something to kind of even the score or something like that?
No, I'm up on him right now. So Rusta had us last year at the 8th grade game, and I came out the winner, so I guess Big Brother don't know everything.
All right, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to that volley.
I don't think I can say it's his night. So we're going to leave it at that. I'm proud of him. He did a great job in high school. Hats off to him. We're going to keep it PG tonight.
The Atlanta Falcons are continuing to change the game on season ticket benefits. Join the Falcons family in 2022 for more games, more access, and more value than ever before, including tickets to our biggest season yet at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, with 9 regular season home games, plus ultimate ticket flexibility with the ability to exchange tickets for games you can't attend, free gear for all members, and free away game tickets. Select your seat today. Rise up.
In sports, an edge is everything. Hard work, practice.
Let's stay focused out there.
It all adds up for your athletes. But what about your field? The right surface is a powerful advantage that allows them to train effectively and safely.
Here we go.
And when the lights come on, your team will be ready to win. You bring the vision, we'll bring it to life. Sports Turf.
This is how we do it.
Sweetheart, please don't forget to wear your seatbelt. I got it, Mom.
It's a really nice day, living in the right space. Breathing your grace, got me feeling some kind of
way. In the blink of an eye, so many tomorrows can disappear. Buckle up for your future, every trip, every time. A message from the Governor's Office of Highway Safety.
Clint Castleberry, boys high school, Purple Hurricanes, maybe the greatest pre-World War II player in state history. Helped lead boys high to 3 state championships, averaged a career 171 rushing yards per game. As a freshman at Georgia Tech, finished 3rd in the Heisman voting in the only year that he played. Led Tech to the Cotton Bowl that season, receiving all SEC honors. Then the war came. U.S. Army pilot. Mr. Castleberry gave the ultimate sacrifice when his plane went down over West Africa in 1944. He was only 21. His number 19 remains the only retired jersey in Georgia Tech history. 78 years later, but never too late, let's honor Clint Castleberry. His cousin Chris is here to accept the award. Our next inductee, George Maloof, Marist War Eagles. I never met Coach Maloof, but I know his sons Keith and Kevin. He must have had the patience of Job. Seriously, he raised some fine men who are great coaches themselves. Before he was a great coach, he was a great player. Starred in 4 sports at Marist and then continued his career at Georgia Tech in football and baseball. In 1951, scored 4 touchdowns against Georgia in Tech's 48-6 win over the Bulldogs. Those things used to happen. And the Jackets finished the season 11-0-1. He was also 2-time All-SEC third baseman. After the Air Force, he started the football program at St. Pius and won 168 games and led the Golden Eagles to their so far one and only state championship in 1968. The stadium at St. Pius is named in his honor. George Maloof. Keith and Kevin, come on up. So tell me what it was like with your dad away from the football field. Kevin, I've been told you're answering the question. Keith got to me first. I mean, everybody knew him as coach, and he was a great player, but what was Dad like at home?
Let me tell you, he was Dad. He was Dad. He's a great coach to a lot of people, but he was Dad to us. And let me tell you a story about him. He was laying on his deathbed about 2 or 3 days right before he passed, and Keith and about 8 or 9 of his teammates, and I had about 4 or 5 teammates there, and we surrounded him. And I asked him, and I knew his answer was going to be, I thought his answer was going to be me. I said, who's the best athlete you ever coached? Or who's the best athlete you've ever seen? And he looked, and he looked, and he pointed to himself. He said, I was. 2 days before he passed away, and after all this, he was absolutely correct. It was amazing.
Congratulations. Thanks on accepting this honor for your dad.
The inaugural Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony special is sponsored by the Atlanta Falcons, Rise Up, Georgia's Rome, where the rivers meet and the mountains begin, Sports Turf, you bring the vision, we'll bring it to life, the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, seatbelts save lives, the Governor's Office of Highway Safety reminds you to buckle up before every trip, and by the Chick-fil-A College Football Hall of Fame, more than a game, more than a museum.
James Brooks. Before he was an all-SEC running back at Auburn, James Brooks led Warner Robins to the 1976 Class 3A championship, and one news service declared them national champions. His career rushing total of 4,756 yards set a state record in the state's highest classification. He scored 70 touchdowns. He scored 6 touchdowns in one game, and he continued to set records at Auburn and enjoyed a 13-year career in the National Football League. James Brooks, ladies and gentlemen. Next up is Ron Simmons. Ron was a monumental piece of that Warner Robins team that went 13-0 and is considered by some to be the most dominant high school team in Georgia history. He was a defensive lineman and a tight end. He was AJC's Lineman of the Year, Coach and Athlete Magazine's All-American. He had 130 tackles his senior year. He was a 2-time consensus All-American at Florida State. and he became a professional wrestler and was the WCW heavyweight champion in 1992. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame and the Wrestling Hall of Fame, and tonight he's in the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. Ron Simmons.
Our next inductee is Andre Hastings, Morrow Mustangs. Southside represent. Game changer, 1989 National Offensive Player of the Year. Parade All-American, led Morrow to a state title as a sophomore. Finished his high school career with 184 catches, over 3,100 receiving yards, and 41 touchdowns. At Georgia, 124 catches, over 1,800 yards, and 13 touchdowns. And just imagine what those numbers would look like in today's game. Like they said, just like Panasonic, he was slightly ahead of his time. Third-round pick of the Steelers, caught 10 passes in Super Bowl 30 against the Dallas Cowboys. 8-year NFL veteran, over 3,300 yards receiving and 18 touchdowns. Andre Hastings was a big deal. Andre Hastings, welcome to the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame.
To be on the board for the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame is it gives me a chance to shake hands and meet a lot of players that I've idolized for a long time. That is certainly the case when it comes to Andre Hastings. And you got to understand something, that we see recruits now that get attention all the time, but in my memory, you were the first that got the level of attention you got. And sometimes I look back on this and I think, we didn't have social media and we didn't have message boards, so I don't know where it was we were talking about this, but we were talking about Andre Hastings all the time there at Morrow High School. And so I have to ask you, how did you handle all of that attention? How did you keep all that process the way that you did and go on to enjoy the success you did, knowing that that attention came with so much extra pressure?
Anything I do, everything I do, do not embarrass your mother. Mama, are you happy?
I think it's safe to say that she's a very proud mother, as she should be. Mr. Hastings, congratulations on a great career, and thank you so much for allowing us to share in the story of your football life here with it tonight.
Thank you.
Andre Hastings, everybody.
Hey, you need any help?
Violation. Too many men on the field.
Superior training means that jobs manned by skilled trades unions take less time with better craftsmanship than workers who are not trained through an apprenticeship program. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
Beginning the morning you opened your eyes, we spent every waking moment preparing you for the day you'd leave our nest. Whether it's driving to practice or helping with homework, it's all prepared you for, what am I going to be when I grow up? Will you be ready?
After much thought, I made my decision to take my talents to the IBEW Local 613.
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers is not simply a job, it's a career. Visit IBEW613.org to begin a new future today.
SMART is sheet metal, air, rail, and transportation.
We fabricate and install HVAC systems, ductwork.
You can't just go to Home Depot and buy our product. You have to build our product.
If you can dream it, we can build it. That's our motto.
Our sheet metal workers are really proud of that work. They want to look back and go to a Falcons game with their family and point up to show what they did.
When you're on the road, did you know that, on average, you drive the length of a football field every time you look down at a text? The Lutzy 43 Foundation is here to remind you that driving distracted is never worth it. You've heard it before, but take a second to ask yourself, is a text, a new song, a glance at your passenger, or even a bite of your favorite snack really worth your life or the lives of others on the road? Join the 43 Key Seconds initiative and pledge to stop driving distracted. Learn more and take the pledge at lutzy43.org.
David Pollock is one of the youngest members of the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. He starred for Shiloh High School in Gwinnett County in the late 1990s, was named to the All-State team by the AJC. As you know, he was a great All-American at Georgia. Recently, he was a member of the College Football Hall of Fame and a star on ESPN's Game Day. He was in Eugene, Oregon this morning and got this surprise.
In Atlanta, there will be the inaugural class of the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. And among the inductees tonight is David Pollock from Shiloh High School. There's the jacket. Hard to believe. I mean, think about the guys that are going to go in tonight. You got Charlie Ward, you got Herschel Walker, you got Super Bowl MVPs, and David, very deserving to be in that inaugural class.
Thank
Georgia
you.
High School Hall of Fame. You didn't know that was coming, did you?
No. Next segment. Congratulations.
Let's keep it rolling.
Thank you.
Awesome. Try it on.
Yeah.
Dan, thanks a lot, man.
Chip Kell is our next inductee. As a legendary center in the 1960s at Avondale High School, Chip was a dominating force for every running back and every quarterback he protected. He was not only a renowned blocker, he also held a state record in track and field that stood for 50 years with the furthest shot put throw in Georgia at 66 feet 7 inches. Chip starred at Tennessee and is a College Football Hall of Famer. Chip Kell, ladies and gentlemen.
Eric Berry, Creekside Seminoles. One of the greatest players that I've ever had the pleasure to call in high school football. He had an 80-yard scramble touchdown against Sandy Creek that is etched indelibly in my memory. He ran about 150 yards to score this 80-yard touchdown. Two-way starter at quarterback and safety. And in the 2007 recruiting class was the #1 player in Georgia, the #1 cornerback in the nation. At Tennessee, he was two-time first-team All-American, 2008 SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and I bet he can sing Rocky Top for you if you won't, but if you want him to, but please don't. #5 pick in the 2010 NFL Draft by Kansas City. 5 Pro Bowls, 3-time first-team All-Pro, and then came back and beat cancer and was the 2015 NFL Comeback Player of the Year. He's a star. Eric Berry.
Champ Bailey contributed in all 3 phases of the gridiron at Charlton County High School. Closed out his varsity career with a school record of 5,855 all-purpose yards, 394 points scored, 8 interceptions, and in 1995 he rushed for 417 yards against poor Atkinson County. He's a member of the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Champ Bailey. John Nelson from Georgia Public Broadcasting will interview Mr. Bailey.
Champ, congratulations. Thank you. I guess this is a question that has 2 parts. Can you start tomorrow?
Not at all. I just look like this, buddy.
So, styling and profiling as always. So let me ask you this. For those that have never been to Folkestone, don't know the influence of Charlton County and the Bailey name and Rich McWhorter and everything that you learned from him and the family learned from him. For folks that have never seen Charlton County and its influence that it had with you, how would you break it down for folks?
Wow, loaded question.
Of course.
Work. You know, we knew we had to work to get out of there. And I don't say that as a detriment to my town. It was just not a lot of opportunity. And we wanted to go somewhere so we can bring back more opportunity and inspire the next generation. I mean, there was a lot of guys before me, and I knew there'd be some coming after, and I just wanted to do my part.
Champ Bailey, Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations.
Clarence Scott. Clarence Scott shined in every step of his long career. At Trinity High School in Decatur, he was a Georgia Interscholastic Association All-State wide receiver as a junior. Trinity went undefeated that season with Scott playing both sides of the ball. They won the school's first ever state championship. He went to Kansas State, where he was an All-American cornerback and had a long career with the Cleveland Browns. And I believe we have Herb White here tonight as part of the celebration for Clarence Scott.
How about another hand for Clarence Scott, everybody?
Next inductee is Stan Rome, Valdosta Wildcats. And up until a couple of weeks ago, Stan held a close to 50-year-old career receiving yardage record in the state with 4,475 yards. His 1971 Wildcats team, I know you've heard this before, regarded as maybe the greatest in state history. He caught 21 touchdown passes that season. A football and basketball star at Clemson. He was drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Cavaliers. He chose football 4 years in the National Football League. Stan Rome, Georgia high school football inductee.
Congratulations, Stan. You're so accomplished. We know the physical, we know the mental, watching on the film, and we know the conditioning. But what is it that you want the fans to know that you were doing when nobody was watching?
I was doing what Coach Bazemore and Joe Wilson trained me to do when I was young. I've been very blessed. I've been very fortunate. I grew up in Valdosta, and the state of Georgia, any coach in the state of Georgia, when I was coming up, revered Wright Bazemore. You know, they talk about the teams that won state championships that had to go through Valdosta. It may not quite be that way now, but back then, every top classification had to go through Valdosta, and that was because of Wright Bazemore. Nick Hyder benefited from Wright Bazemore's tradition and heritage, but I was fortunate. They integrated the school system when I was an 8th grader, and my older brother, Roger, played 2 years for Wright Bazemore, but I had the benefit of playing 4 years for Valdosta, 2 years for Wright Bazemore, and 2 years for Charlie Green. But Valdosta is been very, very good to me and my family. I found a wonderful young lady that goes to that other school from Valdosta, Lowndes, to marry. But my success came from just working hard. I trained. I loved basketball. I loved football. I ran track. I did it all. I tried to do it all. And I was raised by a single parent mother that I lost last year, October the 1st, a year ago. And I was just very fortunate. I came from a family that didn't. We grew up in a gun barrel house. When we were taught to work and earn whatever we got. And I'm just so proud of my family, my kids. I'm proud of Valdosta. I'm proud of the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia produced the best football players in this nation.
Congratulations, Stan. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the living legend, Stan Rome.
Everybody take a look at Stan Rome, because you can go home tonight and said you saw one of the greatest players ever to play the game in the state of Georgia. Now, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Stan held the record for the career receiving yardage in the state of Georgia. It's a record that stood for nearly 50 years, which is amazing because he set it in 1971 before anybody knew what the forward pass was in the state. We have here tonight Rabun County wide receiver Jaden Gibson, who forewent his homecoming tonight to be here with us tonight. And perhaps one day, young Jaden, you too will be inducted into the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame as the state's all-time leading pass receiver. This is Jaden Gibson and Stan Rome.
How about Richard Dent? Richard started at Murphy High School in Atlanta in the 70s and became one of the greatest defensive ends of his era. He went to Tennessee State, where he dominated, then was drafted by the Chicago Bears, led them to a Super Bowl championship in 1985, and was named the game's most valuable player, and he's the first former Georgia high school player to be a Super Bowl MVP. He's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is Richard Dent.
Fantastic. Great to be home. Pleasure to be home. Always great to have you here. Before Chicago, before Nashville, there were Friday nights here in Atlanta at Murphy High School. What was it that you learned during those days, during those years, either from your teammates or from your coaches, that you've carried with you throughout your life because you've been successful in a number of ways? So talk about how football prepared you for things off the field as well.
Well, you know, I grew up with 7 brothers, and, you know, we used to have talent shows in our backyard. I was always an entrepreneur, so, you know, football was something that I was afraid to play, you know. My brothers were all entertainers, so being on the stage is what I wanted to do, but yet I found out that I couldn't sing, I couldn't play an instrument, so I had to find something to do, and one of my buddies, we went into a bet, and he betted me to play football. You know, his father was a minister, and he didn't have a chance to play football, so his last year, he wanted to get a girlfriend and get a jacket, and he wanted to see me play football. And so, you know, I see these kids back there in the back. You know, I wasn't anything special. You know, it was all about being the best that you can be. And I had a high school coach by the name of William Lester who believed in me. And when I went out to Tennessee State and I got there, and the coach said, "Hey, coach, we didn't ask for this guy." But, you know, you have to show people what's inside of you. You know, don't let someone tell you what you are not. You have the opportunity to make your world and take on that advantage in making your world. Don't let anyone stop you from doing what you want to do in life.
Fantastic message for our young players. Congratulations, Hall of Famer. Welcome home.
Next up is Bill Curry. And I'll bet you guys don't know this, but I substituted for Bill Curry one time. Here's the deal. He was doing the 11 o'clock sports on Channel 5 in Atlanta back in 1970. And he had to go back to the Baltimore Colts training camp in June of that year. I graduated on a Saturday night at Georgia and took Bill's place on Channel 5 Monday night at 11 o'clock. I was scared to death. I'm glad he didn't ask me to substitute in one of his games. But he's the reason I got into television and love this man. He's the 1959 AJC Lineman of the Year, key and versatile player for College Park High School. His fame would only rise after playing center at Georgia Tech for the legendary Bobby Dodd. He became a 3-time NFL champion, a longtime college football coach. He has snapped the ball to some of the greats of the game like Bart Starr and Johnny Unitas. And I loved him when he was doing college football games on ESPN. He can do it all. Mr. Coach Bill Curry.
So, Coach, one sports anchor to another. Let me ask you about College Park and what it meant, because we all know the resume. Bill went through it. All of those different aspects of your life that still reach out to us today. What did that start at College Park mean to the foundations of who we know as Bill Curry?
When I was 12 years old, I was short, chubby, lazy, and I had two goals in life. I wanted to marry Carolyn Newton, the most beautiful girl in the world, and the smartest kid in College Park, Georgia, who would not speak to me, by the way. She was taller than me. And I wanted to pitch for the Yankees. I did not want to play football. But you couldn't get a date in College Park unless you played football.
Understood.
The first great lesson I learned from our great sport is really the most important one. And I learned it in the locker room, where I was utterly intimidated by everything, including our head football coach, Coach Bill Badgett, the old Georgia Bulldog, who said, "Men, football is just life marked off in 100 yards with 10-yard increments, and you're going to get knocked down over and over and over." He was correct. And you're going to get to choose whether or not you're going to get up more times than you get knocked down.
Hines Ward. Now, here was a player who dominated on every football field he ever played on. He's a Forest Park legend. He made All-State in 1993 after passing for 1,575 yards and 14 touchdowns. He also ran for well over 1,000 yards and 14 more touchdowns. He started at Georgia, then for the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he won 2 Super Bowls and was a Super Bowl MVP.
I just wanted you all to know how much I appreciate this honor, especially being amongst all these great players that are being highlighted here tonight.
Our next inductee, Matt Stinchcomb, Parkview Panthers. Here's another guy whose career was not ruined by working with me. Could always count on a phone call from his mom wanting a copy of John's or his game on TV or his appearance on our Bulldog show. Affectionately known as Stench, really good guy, or at least he pretends to be. 1994 Gatorade Player of the Year, member of Parkview's first playoff winning team. UGA won the Jacobs Trophy as the SEC's best blocker, the Campbell Trophy. That goes to great athletes who are also smart. 1999 18th overall pick by the Oakland Raiders, played for the 2002 Super Bowl team. Inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2018 and now works for the ESPN SEC network. Matt Stinchcomb, welcome to the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Matt. One of the most celebrated offensive linemen that I've met. Talk to us a little bit about, obviously, we know that the skill position guys usually get all the credit, but obviously 4-year starter in high school and Gatorade Player of the Year?
Yes, I was really good at getting people's way. We weren't very good at Parkview. Everyone else has got championships. We went 2-8, and then we played 3 more seasons. After that, I've got a younger brother that I think will be in here. They won a state championship. So many great memories, though, even with the skilled players. Glad that there's a couple of offensive linemen that are able to wiggle their way in here.
How about Herschel Walker? Herschel was the only unanimous selectee for the inaugural class of this Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame. He was voted the #1 Georgia High School football player of all time by the AJC. He ran for 3,167 yards and 45 touchdowns his senior year at Johnson County. He set the state career rushing record of 6,137 yards. Back of the year, first undisputed #1 national recruit from Georgia in state history, and Heisman Trophy winner, Herschel Walker.
First of all, congratulations again, because I congratulated you before. You kind of get around.
A little bit.
Because I saw you down at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and I offer congratulations again to the Hall of Fame. So congratulations once again. This row of people is pretty impressive, but you were voted in unanimously. Talk about what it means to receive that honor and to be in the room with all this talent from your native state.
Well, you know, being from Georgia, you always give glory to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And that's what I say. I think everyone in the room got to thank our Lord and Savior, because we all started from humble beginnings. And because of the grace of God, we had an opportunity to do something special. And in doing that special, we want to at least set the example for all the young people in here to let them know the dream and to never give up that dream. And also remember that through dreams takes a lot of opportunity. That opportunity comes through sacrificing. And I think everyone in this room can say that they've sacrificed a great deal. And that's what you got to continue to do, is sacrifice. Remember to always reach back and help your fellow man, because we stand on the shoulders of so many great people that help us to get here. And, you know, I stand here right now thinking about all the teams that I've stood on the shoulders, and I'm accepting this when I had offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and coaches that has done so much for me. So it's kind of embarrassing for me to stand here thinking I did it alone, because you don't do anything alone. You have to have others to help you.
Our next inductee is Charlie Ward, Thomas County Central Yellow Jackets. Passed for close to 3,000 yards, 25 touchdowns as a junior and senior. Crossed the border, went to Florida State. All he did there was win the Heisman Trophy, the Maxwell Award, the Davy O'Brien Award, led the Seminoles to their first national championship. College Football Hall of Fame inductee in 2006. That's just part of the story. Played basketball too, you might know. Holds the Florida State record for steals, 9th in assists, first-round draft pick of the New York Knicks, and played 11 NBA seasons. Amazing talent. Charlie Ward is now in the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame.
All right, I'll keep this very, very short because I know it's been a long night. But I appreciate the Hall of Fame committee for selecting us in an inaugural class, and all I can say is we are grateful.
Thanks for watching, and before we say goodnight, we'd like to thank our founding sponsors, which include GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com, IBEW Local 613, Smart Local 85, and the LUTSI 43 Foundation. I would also like to thank the Arthur Blank Foundation and Sports Turf. We look forward to seeing you at the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame next year.